Oh, just go then. It's fine.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Every Week We Follow. As always, we have the perfect professional intro where Gary doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Apparently, that's a picture of Gaz. Apparently, that's a picture of Gaz.
It's my new profile picture. I think I'm going to put it on TikTok and everyone and maybe we'll do a poll. Does this look like me?
I'm not sure about it. I think let us know in the comments what you think about that. It looks nothing like Gaz. For starters, he's wearing a hat. He's wearing a hat.
Yeah,
So it doesn't make
cap,
sense.
We can all wear a cap.
I've never seen you on here wearing a cap.
Okay, well, from now on, I'm only wearing a cap. Next show.
Anyway, we should probably introduce Chris. So, Chris
got the stages of hair loss on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank God for you, James.
But anyway, so Chris actually sits in front of us at Villa Park, season ticket holder. Usually, basically has a massive debate, or he had a massive debate with Gaz about Watkins the one time.
I might have been slightly overcritical in the heat of the
But I just vividly remember James going, hold that. We need to bring this.
Hold this. I think I gave you one of our little cards and said, if you ever want to talk about it, mate, you know.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd get you on, but actually this isn't just about Watkins. This is going to be a buy, sell, keep squad review, including those who are technically, I think they're technically still loaned to us currently. They're not. Have they gone back now? Have they gone back? Asensio and
Rashford.
Good question. Is it?
I don't know if they're still. I think they're still technically until the 30th of June, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. I'm not sure.
Let's go with that. I'm sure.
Let's go.
In the comments wants to let us know. That will be.
I have a feeling they're not, because I saw something about Disasi maybe being left behind for the Club World Cup, which suggests if that's the case, then
that would be Chelsea. Potentially. But yes, so I've got this nice little prototype going on here, and essentially each of these we're going to go through the squad. Some of these players we will definitely gloss over, and we will go quite quickly because otherwise we will be here forever. Because some of these players, I have absolutely no idea who they are. Especially this guy, who I think the Birmingham police are probably still looking for somewhere around Boots.
Who is he?
Thierry
I'm just he's called Thierry. He's got to be good, isn't he?
It's got to
be. With a name like that, probably wearing pink boots, you got to be decent, right? Cool. But we're going to go through it position by position, I think. And although that will leave the Watkins chat quite late, so I'll see. I might just go through like the first starting 11 first.
So we'll do that first.
Yeah, let's do that. So, Mr. Emiliano Martinez. Now, I think we should do this not based on we can take into account, if you want to, the likelihood of them going. So in terms of all the rumors and all the things that are going on. But I think we should probably do this based on what we would want.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, obviously, I think it's a no-brainer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, keep. No one's selling or loaning him, right?
Yeah, I don't think we will, but I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that so? You don't think we will keep him?
I don't think we will. I think we're so worried about that squad cost ratio thing, and he's our biggest earner. It seems to be well sourced. He's our biggest earner now. The loanees have gone back, so I think they're panicking about that. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want to, but
I think I'm hearing mixed things though as well. And I think it's like quickly just to touch on it with the PSR stuff. I'm hearing that actually it's only about 20 million. Or something that we need to do.
2 bits, isn't there? That's not that bad. That doesn't worry. They keep going about this bloody getting to the 70% wages.
It's the ratio, right? Which to be fair, I know that a massive high earner is Luca Dean, and I'm kind of like, well,
so
you can't let him go, right? Bring back Ilan Jr. potentially, and like let him go. Like, it's a horrible position, but also. They were saying that because obviously Bailey's also potentially going as well. So that might cover the PSR. But then the other thing they're looking at is they're basically looking at the future years because PSR, I think, has got one more year on it. So we still are probably going to need to make a couple of sales just to give ourselves a little bit of breathing room if we want to bring other players in. So I think they're probably looking at that as well. And they'll want to get that done early, I think. And then they'll want to get that done in January so that they can just forget about it.
So, can't we now sell the stadium and the women's team just like Chelsea did?
Oh God, yeah.
Million, right, and just wipe it all out. Isn't that what?
Well, the thing with the stadium and the women's team thing, it's a bit of an interesting one, that, because I feel like that's not a short. It's a shortish term fix, right? Because with PSR, although rules are changing, right? But like you can invest in your stadium and in your women's team and your academy, which comes off of your losses. Yeah. So it's actually reduced from that. So like if you sell the women's team, you can't do that now. So any investment
to yourself, don't you? That's what Chelsea did. They basically sold it to themselves. Like
no, they did. They sold it to like the holding company, right? Which surely then doesn't
allegedly, mate. It's to themselves. Come on, like it's technicality, but
surely then any investments they make in the women's team is what I'm saying now. Surely that doesn't come up. That's not deductible because they don't own it.
True.
Who knows? Anyway, right. These two keepers no one's ever heard of. So we got Olivier Zich.
He's not in the first team, mate.
Let him go. Let him go on loan. We'll loan him out. What about Sam Proctor?
Who?
Right,
mate. You said starting 11. Let's just keep to the starting 11 for now.
I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to get through quite quickly. So these guys, basically, I took the squads off of PremierLeague.com of like the Premier League squad list, but then also obviously I have to throw in some players who are out on loan who are potentially like going to come back. So actually, Robin Olsen's gone, right? So is Joe Gauci going to be our number 2?
No, I think we're going to buy a keeper. That's what I think will happen. I think he'll either go out on loan again or we'll sell him.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with the loan. Axel, so we think these guys are gone. Now, the question is like, I think I'm more wondering, do we try and get them back? That's more the thing. So it's like ending the loan is like just leaving them gone. Are we loaning them again? Or are we
no. I want a younger, cheaper option.
Yeah. I also do not want a centre-back that can play right-back.
No.
I'd rather have one that cannot play right-back so we don't ever have to make that decision.
Oh, you've got him, mate. He can't play right-back. Cost us 2 of the biggest games of the season. Screw him. Get rid of him. I'm with Chris. We want a younger, fitter model. Disassi. Do one, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, like, seeing a bit, Axel.
If you were going to buy him as a covering centre half, like for cover for Mings and Konza, then yeah. But if he's got any plans to play him at right back, Emery needs his head tested because that is a mistake.
It's a shame that Ozcan's left-footed, isn't he? Because he sounds like a really good prospect, considering he's played top-level football at a young age for a long time. But I think he's left-footed. I'm sure I read that. We've got 3 left-footed anyway.
Yeah, Darren Jones literally just went, Disassi, no.
Thanks, Dan.
That's that simple. Andres Garcia.
Keep. 100% keep.
Really like the look of him.
Yeah, I think he's got massive potential. He's really impressed me I know he had that mistake against Liverpool early doors. That's it, wasn't it?
How good was he against Forest that first half? What I like about him, if you give him time on the ball, and he's got to go and do something, he's actually got the technique to he's got the confidence to kind of go down the line, whereas poor Cash will come on to him, but he doesn't.
Well, you're looking for improvements, aren't you? And that's one thing. I said this to James on the last show. I think it feels like Cash has been coached out of going over on the overlap and trying to get crosses in. The amount of times he's had the opportunity and cuts back and just keeps possession. It's like he's scared, but Garcia was just like a breath of fresh air. So that's what you want your fullback doing, don't you? If you're going to overlap, you want even if no one gets on the end of it, but because that leads us into the Watkins debate. Getting the ball into the mid anyway. Right. So keep him, buy him, let him play.
You always wonder about these players who are quite injury prone. Like he's had so many hamstring injuries and so many soft tissue injuries. I always wonder about him, like trying to make a burst of pace to get past the player. I think he actually does run down the wing if he can see space in front of him. So if we're on the transition, for instance, and we're breaking away, because he can build up his pace, so it's not as bad on the hammies. Whereas
not as explosive.
Yeah, he's constantly injuring himself. But let's get on to Matty Cash.
So
brutal, but I'd sell it if we can get a. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much, because he actually played well in large parts last year.
Yeah, he
did. Whenever the ball goes out to him, and you'd never. I don't know. I'd like someone to be better in possession than he is. Put it that way.
I agree. I want someone better, but I don't know. I think as a squad player, like I don't know. I don't think I'll get rid of Matt Cash. I think he's a consistent, kind of 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
the biggest issue is the injury stuff for me.
Yeah,
it's the injury stuff for me. Also, you've got to. He's not going to be happy to be a squad player. I don't think. I think if you're going to give Garcia a go,
do you think he sees himself as a top 6 starter?
Yeah, I do. I think he does. When you hear him in interviews and talking about, his ability, I think that's what he believes. But the fact of the matter is, he has been injured for the last 2 seasons. If you look at numbers in terms of goals and assists, I can only remember probably 3 or 4. I don't like.
I agree with this. By the way, sorry to cut you off, Gaz. Darren's saying that I'd keep unless we get someone better. Also, he is also very versatile and he can play right wing. Because he's done that.
And my point, I think, the point I was trying to get to was that if around the PSR thing again, if you're looking at players for selling for decent prices, he would bring a decent value, I think, and that's my only thing. And Darren's right; you can play him on the right wing, but again, you've got. Are you going to sacrifice players further forward for that? Like, i.e., Marlon getting a chance, like out playing maybe a little bit wider or in that right position. I don't know. So it's a tough one for me, but I would ultimately sell because I think you're going to get a good price for him.
Okay. Well, I've been outvoted, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go sell on Matty. Oh, I like Matty.
It
is hard. I agree, but yeah.
I think there's some of these that we can probably rattle through because there's absolutely no chance in hell we are ever getting rid of them. So Ezri Konsa, hell no.
Keep.
Contracted till 2028 as well, which is nice. Tyrone Mings was obviously contracted till June 2026, but he's actually just signed a new deal. Literally just before he came on air. Did they disclose how long it was?
1 year, I think. 1 year extension, I think.
Yeah, 1 year extension. He's there. Mate, he just needs to stay fit this year, doesn't he? That's all he needs to do. If he can do that, I mean, he's what the epitome of a centre-half. And actually, if you look at recent centre-halves in the Premier League, like Thiago Silva, who played onto his knee at 40, if you read the game well enough, he's an absolute leader, isn't he? We just need him on the pitch. He's a real defender, and something that Torres just doesn't offer.
Yeah, that's a real debate for me. I don't know.
Well, I was about to say, let's skip Luca Dean. Let's skip Luca Dean quickly and just get on to Pau Torres. So obviously we're talking about that. I mean, he's not gonna let him go.
No.
Yeah.
What do you think? He's contracted to 2028, so he's got a fair bit of time.
I mean, there's not a chance in hell that Emery's selling him because he's bought him as his player. So unless an amazing offer came in and he wanted to leave, I think we're going to keep him. But for me, he wouldn't be my first choice centre half. Like he just wouldn't. So about you, Chris, what do you think?
I think similar. It's not. You don't tend to mix your centre halves up, do you? But we've almost got 2 partnerships for different games, haven't we? Like, Crystal Palace, we all knew at Wembley. Everyone was saying in the morning, I'm the coach. Got to play Mings. There's certain games for Torres at home to a deep block. You want Torres passing, but I'm just worried about the defensive bits. We just look too vulnerable, I think. But that's for him.
Well, for me, you played him again. I think there was like 3 or 4 games at the end of the season where he did that, where we were like, he's got to play. Surely he's got to play Mings today. And then he ends up playing Torres, and we just look susceptible, especially in the air, and anything on the counter, anything on transition, as they call it.
Especially if you then play Maatsen next to him as well, which I think we need. We need the pace of Maatsen, but if you play Maatsen, you need a solid citizen next to him, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree.
Just quickly, we've got someone watching. We've got someone watching from Turkey. Hello, Michael.
Welcome from Turkey.
That's where the Europa League final is, by the way, next year.
Is he? Is it?
Let's book some tickets now, boys. Start to get
guys, you can sort out your hair while you're there as well. You can
sort out my hair, get some new teeth. We can have a full makeover, mate. I'm going to come back a different man if we get to Turkey.
So Pau Torres is going to keep.
Keep Torres still, yes.
Left back. Go on.
Yeah.
On Torres, his lack of pace as well. That really worries me against the better teams.
Yeah. And the problem is he always tries to do the offside trap, always tries to step up, gets caught up. And then we play so high, and usually he's the one who's quite high up because he's playing that ball through the lines into the midfield. And if we get caught with him, you can't get back. So you end up with Kamara or someone, or McGinn or someone trying to cover him, and it's just a nightmare. Okay, Digne and Maatsen. Now the question is whether you're keeping them both, and two, if you're not, who's going? Now, Ian Maatsen's on a contract till 2030. He's on a 6-year deal, so he ain't going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere.
No, I think you keep back end of last year, apart from Man United when he was crap. To be fair,
he was good, wasn't he? I thought it was very good. Very good.
We need more pace in the team, in my opinion. This is brutal, but just for his wages, like we talked about before we started live, I think I'd sell him for his wages, which is horrible because he's been brilliant. He's actually he's
one of our most consistent players.
Yeah.
I think we can't let him go on a free next year.
No. Yeah.
So I'm like, because no one's going to buy him in the winter because I think his wages are high, and they're going to be like, well, we'll just wait for the summer for the free. I don't think we can. So I think we've tried to sell him a few times. I think the problem is that wage bill. I don't think anyone wants it. Because I think he's basically, I think maybe Emi Martinez is the highest earner. I think he's like second.
Certainly up there, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, he's going to have to, if we are going to sell him, he's going to have to take a wage cut. I mean, like you say, his age is against him.
Unless I don't think he wants Saudi, but I'm sure Saudi would want him if his agents gave them the wink, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He just seems like a bit of a Europe player rather than Saudi, doesn't he? But
I agree. I mean, I agree with Chris. It's brutal, but I think just from a PSR perspective and his wages being so high, I'd sell him again.
I love this. Alex Moreno. I'm guessing it's not the Alex Moreno, but he talking about Newcastle need a left back. I'm like, what? They're going to take Matty Target and Luca Dean?
It's like a
I
time
can't believe
machine.
Matt Target comes on. I see him come on. I'm like, God, I forgot he was there.
Mate, I thought Matt Target had died. I didn't realise he was still playing.
I wonder if we can find a loan for a year until his contract runs out.
Yeah.
To get him off the books.
I think that's we're going to have to do some astute bit of business, aren't we, in the close season, really, because we are limited. So it's down to Emery and his scouts to kind of look for those deals, loan deals, and potential younger players that are up and coming in whatever European league, Germany, Italy, Spain, wherever, to get them to buy into the projects, because we all know that a year coaching with Emery is going to improve most professionals.
Yeah.
Because he's a fabulous coach, isn't he? So that's what we've got to try and hold on to.
Would see Dendonker's come. Even Denton will come up. Dendonker said he's the best coach we've ever had. He might have discarded him. Maybe he's the best coach we've ever had. So even the players that he does now, just say it's brilliant. I'd like to see Ealing Junior come back as the deputy. By the way, didn't he play left back second half of the season for Middlesbrough? Apparently,
he did. Yeah.
Very well. I like the idea of that with a bit of no pressure on him being number one.
So I'm thinking. I think we will try and sell him. I think we're probably going to say we would sell him. Whether we will be able to is another question. I just don't know if people are going to pay for him, and I think most people will try and wait. Kankes Hayden.
Yeah.
I think he's contracted until 2026.
I'd sell him, mate. I think he's gone out on loan.
Won't we? So
he's gone out on loan the last 2 seasons. He's 22. If he was going to break through to the squad, he would have been given a chance by now. For me, I think.
Yeah. We're also pretty because he's right back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty stacked with youngsters at right back, like Nedeljkovic as well. You got him. You got Garcia. You got
Well, if he was going to be given a shot, he wouldn't have bought Garcia. It's as simple as. So I think you sell him and try and get a bit of a fee. This is where you can kind of rack up the money, I guess.
I agree. Nedeljkovic, I've heard 15 million.
Yeah, bye. After Leipzig you go.
Thanks for coming, mate. I like the look of him, but
he's actually a really nice lad. I met him at Acorns in December. He came with John McGinn and Yuri Tillemans, and he was really nice. He just failed his driving test. And John McGinn was absolutely taking the mick out of him. He goes, I'm fed up for taking you to training. How have you failed your driving test? I was crying.
Apparently Darren Jones saying Hayden will be sold. Apparently Villa want between 8 and 10 million for him.
Yeah, take it, mate. I think that's a good price. I would take that.
So, Alex Moreno.
Yeah.
He's actually contracted till June 2026. He's obviously on loan at Forest and he's coming back. He hasn't played much at Forest because he got injured. And then I think it was Nico Williams kept him out of the team. He's 32 in like a couple of days.
Well, you put that in. Well done. Yeah. You're a Marino fan, aren't you? I know his birthday and everything. I've got a birthday card in the post.
Well, I obviously Googled this stuff, mate.
He played really well, didn't he, for Forest, first half? It's really strange. He did in the team, and then, to be fair, Williams kind of took his place, and that was it.
Yeah, and
actually... He did the same for us, didn't he? Like, if you think about it, like, he was one of our better players, but Dina just kind of, I don't know, stepped up to the plate, didn't he? And kind of made him... Like, you want competition in your team, and you know, you remember Moreno was Emery's player. He bought him, didn't he? But Dina just kind of was too consistent to drop.
That hamstring injury killed him, didn't he? He seemed to lose that confidence. Because his whole thing was that little jink and burst to the byline. He was really good.
As Darren's just put there, would you keep him as like a revert?
Almost I was going to say that he's on a lot less wages.
Maybe. Yeah.
But then is he too similar? Because then you've got him and Matson, and they're both basically good.
They're both
forward and both of it. Aren't they? I don't know.
Oh, tough one.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I think. Well, also, I think that he probably makes more sense. Him and Matson. Interestingly, Matson like did well at the end of the season, but I think part of that is because Rashford was out. So because if we have a bombing on left winger, we don't have a bombing on. If we have a left back, then we've got a right winger. Whereas if we've got a left winger, then we're going to have a defensive left back. So Rashford was injured, and so Matson was playing more consistently because we didn't have a left winger out and out to play out there. So it'd be interesting. Moreno, it'll be interesting to see. I think the only way I think I would sell if we can get a fee. I think it might actually be another loan. If I'm honest, I don't know if we'll be able to get.
Mate, at this rate, we're going to have no cover if any of our starting 11 get injured.
Well, mate, I think I said this before. I think this is quite a big season of change. I think there's going to have to be. I think there's going to be quite a lot of players who are either going to be loaned out or let go, and we're going to need to bring in
this PSR nonsense because every time we look like we're getting somewhere, we're now talking about having to sell most of our squad just to kind of be sustainable for the future. It's like obviously we're going to struggle to compete, aren't we? Because we're not going to have the team.
Yeah,
it drives me mad.
Yeah, I know, it's frustrating, but we won't. I don't think we will struggle to compete as much because we're not going to be in the Champions League. You got to remember that the level of what we're playing in a European competition is going to be lower than what it was last season. Obviously, the Premier League's still the same.
Obviously, Man United and Spurs got to the Europa League final. It was
exactly right.
Central Warwickshire League Cup.
I tell you what, there's a different. The thing I will say though about the Europa League is that there's a very different kind of pressure this season. We're going to be very much expected to get at least the semis. If we don't get the semi-finals, I'm going to be like, well, that was disappointing.
I think for the Man United display, last game of the season, mate, the club should be offering free hotel and flights to Turkey. That's what should be happening.
Oh, God.
Oh, you've renewed your season ticket. Here's the flight to Turkey. Thank you very much.
We're not onto the midfield just yet because actually there is... Where is he? Oh, shit. Did I not include him? Ealing Jr.? I don't think I included him.
Oh, mate, he's going to be devastated. When he watches this, he's going to be absolutely devastated. You've cut him out.
So Ealing Jr. was meant to be on here, and I actually think he would be one to keep.
I'd keep him, yeah.
I don't
think we get enough value from selling him right now.
I agree, Chris. I totally agree with that. I think
got to sell well, haven't we?
Yeah. And he could be a prospect.
I don't think it's worth loaning.
Yeah, I think he's got potential.
I don't think we'll loan him back out either because I think we do need a left back.
Yeah.
As cover. So, Lamar Bogard.
This is a tough one.
I'm on the fence about this because I think there's a lot of rumours that he's got a lot of admirers on the continent, and we might get a fee for him. And I hate this term, but it's pure profit.
Yeah.
And is he? I'd rather Barra and Cherry will come on to however you say his name.
Yeah.
As our cover than him. without sounding horrible, I actually really like him. He's a good utility player, and he really grew in stature, didn't he? But being brutal, I think I'd probably rather Barrenechea than him as our centre mid. But
well, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the difference he's got and what Emery likes,
good utility player.
He can play multiple positions.
Yeah, that's fair.
He can play centre back. I think he played right back ish.
Right back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you say that, but at centre back and at right back, mate, like in his position, he looked fantastic, but out of position, vulnerable. Like you know, so it's one thing being a utility player, but you've got to be able to play those positions well. You know, that's the whole point. So I think I agree with Chris on this one again. I think he's had a positive impact in and around the team.
Bogard was
the team. That said it. I didn't want to be harsh on him because he's a young lad, you know. But and he's our player. And like you said, Chris, I think the fact that he's an academy player, if you got a fee for him, I'd sell him. But maybe a loan. I don't like. Do you know? I don't know because he has got potential.
I think I don't know if a loan will massively inflate. It will increase his price much more than what it is probably now because he did play a fair few games for us. He had a good spell in the middle of the season, and I think he actually played well. So if he went on a loan, it didn't really work out. Then potentially that fee would even go down. So if we got some suitors, like you said, some suitors, then. Right, I'm going to try and whistle through a little bit because we need to try and get through some of these players. So Ross Barkley, contract till 2027.
I think you got to let him go, mate. I think injury prone. He's had 2 spells with us, and he's a decent squad player. But
I would keep him all day. I don't think he costs very much. I think he's a good squad. We need numbers in there. He's happy also to be a squad player. When he's come in, he's done a decent job. I actually think, personally, I'd keep him.
I'm just going to go keep, but I'm on the fence because before his injury, it's a no-brainer. After the injury, he was very poor, wasn't he? But then you could argue his rhythm. But keep on balance. I think he's on low wages, isn't he, relatively?
Yeah, I think he's on relatively low wages. I don't think he's going to cost.
And he's got a bit of experience. You imagine he's a good trainer.
Yeah, exactly. And Emery likes it.
All the intangibles we don't see day to day. I imagine he's good at that.
He's just got to stay fit then, hasn't he? Because that's the problem. When you've got a 31-year-old who can't stay fit, he's then becomes just a number that's draining out your club rather than a player that's contributing.
Yeah.
Yes, Flange, Sal Barkley, she's on my side. I've got the crowd on side, but you guys win that one. Fair enough.
Good old Flange. John McGinn. He's going to be. I think he's going to be more of a utility. Do you think he'll lose the captaincy?
No.
Do you think it's weird to have a player that's a captain and isn't going to be starting every game?
Or maybe he'll be club captain. Do you know what I mean? So that could. But for me, you keep this guy all day long.
Yeah,
like he was. I
think he was our best player when he the 2 legs of PSG.
I'm definitely keeping him.
Don't play him on the left wing though. That's pissing me off now.
Yeah,
him on the left and Rodgers on the right. He's just flip them. It's infuriating. But anyway, I'm sure Emery knows better than me. Clearly.
Well, he doesn't. Mate, at this point, I think those decisions have cost us the qualification for the Champions League. I do. I think it doesn't in the FA Cup in the Champions League when we needed to be. All cylinders firing. We just that setup cost us. It did.
Yeah, we had no width, no pace. Their wing backs just killed us.
Yeah, it killed us massively.
Yuri Tielemans not going anywhere, is he?
What
we need a joint statue with him and Kamara. Like that's what we need. Like get rid of that McGregor thing. Just palm that out somewhere else and put Yuri and Kamara together.
Right, I'll put Kamara. He's going to be a keep. There's no freaking way he's going anywhere.
I'll get hammered for this, but if he doesn't sign his contract, on a big bid, I'd consider it, but not because I don't like him. More from a footballing decision. Plus, he does miss quite a lot of games. I've seen some people on Twitter make that.
Fair. He's been injured a fair bit,
but he's brilliant. He's the cream when he plays. Don't get me wrong, but if he's not going to sign, I'll be like, do we?
Well, that's the thing. He's been offered a deal, but
I think he wanted Champions League, didn't he? But we'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, but with that, it's like, but for that to happen, it's not like his contract running out anytime soon. We have to sell him.
So like 2 years, 2 years,
yeah, 2 years left.
So you could arguably get a good price for him, couldn't you? If someone could easily pay 70 million.
Mate, what would you put on him? What would you take for Boob?
Minimum
for
70, mate. I agree with that. Minimum 70 million.
absolute minimum. Yeah. Like he's because also you've got to take into account, people always talk about like market value and what they're worth and stuff. I'm like, you've got to also take into account what he's worth to us, as our team. Without him, we were terrible whenever he was out. Like we were just not the same at all.
Yeah, we missed him massively. He's our Rolls Royce, isn't he?
Yeah. Right, this guy, I'm not going to dwell on it. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for that one season.
Leon Bailey.
He was brilliant, by the way, that season. Someone reminded me the day I saw some clips of that. He was brilliant, but it's 1 in 4. So
it's 1 in 4, mate. It's such a shame because if he could have replicated that this season, you would have kept him all day long. But he's been terrible, and you can't even say he hasn't had the opportunity. He's had the minutes to play. Like he's just been absolutely awful. It's like watching 2 different players. And that's just such a shame, really, because potentially there's a player there, but no, get rid of him. He's got to go.
Right. We need to. Okay, we're going to have to ramp it up now a little bit. So Jacob Ramsey.
He's my controversial one. If we have to sell one, I don't want to sell. It sounds silly. I don't want to sell him. But if I have to pick one from that I don't want to sell list, I think he's mine now. I know.
Yeah. My big issue with him is just injuries, and I have absolutely no faith. I have no faith he's going to stay fit.
Yeah.
No faith.
His productivity before the injuries. Remember Emery's first half season? He was like one of our best players, wasn't he?
By country mile. Yeah.
I don't want to sell him. I've had this debate recently with some of the fans and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to sell him. I really don't want to sell him. I actually think he could be fantastic. It's the injuries that do worry me, and also I just think that he's 24 now. He needs to kick on a little bit. He needs at least this season. So potentially this season, we keep him one more season. Potentially, I think if we got Champions League, I think he'd be going. Yeah. I think the fact we didn't.
Well, the rumor was about him and Harvey Barnes, wasn't it? Kind of.
Oh yeah.
I have to say, I think Ramsey's a better footballer, but I think Barnes will give us more goals and assists. So, being brutally honest, we lost Dax Bailey dropping off a cliff last year. We only had Watkins and Rodgers, didn't we?
And the other thing, of course, is, and I don't want to, like you said earlier, Chris, I hate this kind of pure profit, but he's an academy player, and if you could get 30, 40, 50 million quid for him, it just balances the books, doesn't it?
But would you get that? Like I'm thinking if he stays one more season and we can keep him fit and he does actually play, and then actually you get a really good fee for him. That's the I don't know. Someone else needs to make a decision because I can't choose.
God, I'm so torn on this one.
Oh God, I'm gonna go. Sell.
Oh my God. Gary's selling off the team.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah, Gary's selling off the team. Look how many players we're letting go. Right, Onana. Obviously, there's all the stuff about it with Saudi and stuff and all that kind of thing. I'm like, you can't let him go. I just feel like you can't let him go.
I think
I know he's a bit made of glass.
Yeah, that's going to get frustrating, I think, at some point. But yeah, I'd agree.
He's on contract till 2029.
Yeah,
as in, it'd have to be a hell of a fee. We paid.
Because he's going to be 40 million on the books still, isn't he? So unless you're getting that back, what's the point? Especially when he started to look a little bit more focused with Emery's coaching, didn't he? So,
100%. If he can stay fit, mate,
he's an asset. We don't have enough height in the team, do we? Especially when
absolutely.
Play, so.
And he can drive the ball forward. He was brilliant against Bournemouth away. I thought he was absolutely. That was when Tillemans first came out. And I was like, crap, we're going to struggle here against these. And he absolutely man of the match for me. I thought he was brilliant. So keep.
Yeah.
And it owes another season. Who's next?
Is that Baron? I can never say his name. Is it Baron Chaya?
Baron Chaya.
Keep all day for me. I think or loan, but he's your Kamara replacement for me. Succession planning.
Yeah, Baron Chaya is apparently. I haven't really watched much of La Liga, but by all accounts, he's had a very good season on loan at Valencia. And at 24, if he is 24, we've got to surely give him a chance to see what he can do. Do you know what I mean? Give him a run of games. And let's see what happens, But I agree with you what you said in terms of rather than Bogard, 100% giving this guy a go. See what happens. James has lost all radio contact. James, your mic's not working. Can't hear you. What have you done? James, our operator was have to. Oh, Buendia. There we go.
Sell, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Goes with best wishes. I hope he does well.
Because
no, I still can't hear you, mate.
Hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Sorry. There won't be a podcast for us without technical issues. Emi Buendia, I'm personally going to say sell.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
He's not.
Goes with best wishes. Is worked hard. The injury was a bad time, wasn't it? But being brutally honest, I don't think he ever quite had enough for what we're trying to consistency.
No. I think
he loses the ball a lot, and he always tries things. I like that about him, but I just didn't think he.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with it, actually. I think a lot of the time people are like, "Oh, we misplaces too many passes and stuff." I'm like, actually,
it's a bit like Fernandez, and he's always trying to that through ball, and
he plays a lot of high risk balls, so that's why. But unfortunately, it doesn't come off. Right, this guy, get out of my club as fast as possible. Unfortunately, no one will freaking take him. Oh my God!
Well, Vasco da Gama apparently really want him, but they've basically tried to say through the press from what I've seen on Twitter. Basically trying to allude to Villa, let him go and we'll have him quite gratefully, sort of thing. So if we can agree that without a payoff, great. But sadly, I think we're going to have to probably pay him off, aren't we?
I did have him on
there he is.
There he is.
We also keep him.
You just put him in the wrong position, mate. Oh,
yeah, no, sorry.
That's another good point.
Look, guys. No, like this. I've spent way too long on this. I was rushing by the end. This is no.
No, but you've made a good point there, James, because actually he's wing back and winger, and he actually does play some of those other positions.
Yeah, I'll take the credit for that.
So you inadvertently reminded us that he's can be midfield.
Well done, James. Well saved.
The question is, does he come back into the squad, or is he going on loan again?
Depends on the left back situation for me in terms of Moreno and Dino.
I think you keep him. I think we agreed that. I think you yeah.
Okay. This guy can fuck off at my club as well. Moron. Look at him. What's this? What's he doing here?
Tell you what, though, we'll always have that the Newcastle and Man United games at home. He was good in those, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
I'm not saying he's good enough long term. He's not.
Yeah. Stevenage was brilliant.
Yeah,
he just needs to sort out the curve in his spine so he can run properly. Because
he's on stupid wages as well, isn't he? Thanks, Gerard.
Yeah,
he's on 100k or thereabouts.
Caden Young, loan.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
We're not selling him. He's going to go on loan. Right, here we go. Finally, it only took us 37 minutes to get it.
Bloody hell. I hope people are still tuned in. We've got actually.
They are, mate. We've got 65 people still watching, which is actually pretty good for us.
Well, that's what they come for, mate. We've buttered them up.
Right. So what's happening with Ollie Watkins? I'm just going to sit back and let the fireworks go.
To be fair, so I've got some notes because I'm a nerd, and I've put some notes. And one of my friends had a look at them when I first started calling it with some stuff, and I realised I was maybe slightly overrating some of his attributes. But anyway, in terms of the debate, for me, and this is what we started at the ground when James sort of said, save this is good. So fundamentally, I don't actually disagree with 99% of what Gary says. So I'll start with that. I'm not disagreeing with a lot of what he said. There's a bit, I'll come on to it. There's a bit about big chance stats that I think is very misleading. So I'll come on to why. It's a bit nerdy, but it just something about the eye test. I thought, I've got to look into this. It doesn't feel right. But in terms of last year, I think for me, a bit of context, he wasn't as good last year as the year before. That's obvious, really obvious, blindingly obvious. And it's badly timed this because he was rubbish at Old Trafford. It was really poor. Bad touch. He nearly had a one-on-one and he gave the defender a slide tackle, and there was a chance to put Rodgers in at one point. It was like, sloppy touch. So that was Ollie Watkins at his worst.
My head nearly exploded at the TV when I was watching it.
Not great timing.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of context, he came back from an injury. He had the summer, which that Holland thing was a big deal for him from what he'd done in his career. And all of a sudden, he was a national hero, had the whole country singing Ollie, blah, blah, blah. So I think he came back injured. But not just that. Look at Foden. See, a lot of the England players, by the way, even Rice in the first part of last season, I remember being pretty poor and getting sent off and being a bit sloppy, and Rodgers tore him to bits at Villa Park, and that's partly Rodgers being good. But a lot of what I'm trying to say is a lot of England players, Walker, seem to come back and really struggle from the not having a break. So I think that's some context to the start of the season that maybe doesn't explain the whole one. It's not I think fundamentally the debate we were having wasn't so much about, should we get rid of it? It was more my concern about that is the market for strikers is just terrible. Remember the 90s when Ollie Watkins wouldn't have even been near an England squad in the 90s, with all due respect, because you had so many lethal finishers that were English. It was ridiculous because obviously two up front and all that. So, but the world's just not like that. So my biggest concern is replacing his output because he is.
Sorry, Chris. That comment. Oh my God. Sorry.
Oh, brilliant.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't want to ruin you.
I'll come on to it's like a monologue. This. Sorry, apologies, but it's just to give a bit of context to it. So the big chance thing, I think that's my one of something I had to delve into. So he does miss a lot of chances. We go to the home games, we see that. But when I kind of heard he's like missed 30, I thought the eye test doesn't tell me he should have 30 extra goals, if you know what I mean. So I delved into it. Apparently, a big chance is a next year of 0.38. So in simple terms, to my eye, that's kind of 1 in 3, isn't it? Right. So if we then said he's missed 10 chances, that's still poor, but that's like 1 every 4 games, not 1 every game. So that kind of got me thinking. And then and just a throwaway one. La Liga, the 2 players with the most missed chances. Someone's got 29 and someone's got 23. Don't know if you care to guess the 2 names behind those.
Oh, that's going to be like Yamal or someone, isn't it?
Close. 2 centre forwards, I suppose.
Oh, Lewandowski.
Yeah, he's the second, and number 1's Mbappe. So, but but anyway, so then I found
it's the same in the Premier League, right? Like
Isak's up there,
or whatever.
But then I found what I think is probably the most, in my opinion, the most relevant stat is XG overall for the season. So how many goals should he have scored statistically? And he's down, which you'd expect him to be. So I think it's 18.63. Don't really nerdy. So really, he should have 19 goals. He got 16, so he's down. And I think if I reflect on Watkins, it's because he scores the chances that aren't even half chances. Like Bournemouth away is a classic one. That's not even half a chance.
It's just
got his studs and perfectly timed, brilliant. But then when he has 5 seconds to think about it, 1-on-1 on the keeper, we all know he's not going to score. He's going to fluff it, and that's where you get the mug expression, all that. But then I looked at some of the other strikers as well, just for comparison. So Haaland's 2 down, Delap's about bang on, interestingly, almost bang on. Solanke's 3 or 4 down, and he only got 9 in the first place, so for a small sample size, and that is 60 million quid's worth. And Mateta surprisingly should have scored 16 odd, and he got 14. I thought he was a really good finisher, and I suppose he still is. So it's in a roundabout way. I guess what my main crux of my argument is, it just worries me the market, and particularly if we can get Ollie back with a pre-season and a bit fresher, he's never going to be a lethal finisher. We all know that, and I'd love a striker that, if we're at Wembley again, he's 1-on-1 and you're like, it's going to be a goal like he's at. But and Watkins is never going to be that, right? But I suppose it's just the overall output to replace that is risky, I think, because it's just not the market, is it? I don't think. And I hope we do outgrow him. But it's just, if we were signing someone and you said, like, had a mystery profile, and it's like, this guy scored 50 goals across 3 seasons. You'd be like, oh, I'm excited for this. And non-Villa fans have a really different impression of it. It's quite interesting. That, funny enough, some of them blinded by the Holland things. That's maybe the only game they've seen. Oh, he's a good lethal finisher. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's a really good player, but he's not a lethal finisher. But that's because the crux of the debate. It's not so much that Watkins hasn't got his flaws. It's just his output and the mitigation for last season. It's just a lot of worry. I look at Nunez and Solanke and Højlund and all these really expensive players at so-called big clubs, and none of them work. They're all flops, aren't they? So that's it.
I always think about. Obviously, it was a totally different era, but I was thinking about when we were in the Championship and we basically tried to buy every single striker who scored goals.
McCormack,
Culture, who else?
McCormack, who couldn't get out of his
gates. Didn't have about 100 goals between them or something?
Yeah. McCormack was a guarantee in the Championship, wasn't he? He'd been top scorer for that 3 different clubs.
They all did nothing.
We dried them up. There was a time where Villa did that, though, wasn't it? Remember we bought Colton Palmer. What's his name? Sorry, what's his name? Played for West Ham. Was it Colton Palmer? No.
Cole.
Cole, yeah. And, at the time he was flying and he came and just couldn't do anything. And
Danny Ings.
Danny Ings, we managed to dry him as well, didn't we? And he dried Watkins up as well in the process. Because they
great sale, by the way, that. Talk about selling the clubs. We do sell well. That does give encouragement for this summer.
Yeah.
Good sale, that was. Smart.
I can't disagree with what you said, Chris, about Watkins, and I think the grass isn't always greener. I think for me, when I look at the overall output again, and if we look at his overall tally in the Premier League, right, in the last, I think, 3 seasons, or just in total in Premier League, he's got 75 goals, which is amazing. Thank God he's broken Gabby's record.
Yeah,
Brucey bonus, right? But goals per match, this is according to the Premier League website, is 0.41, right? So it's less than a goal a game, right? Which I guess, I don't know, is not a bad thing, but
it's less than 1 in 2, guys. So
it comes down to shooting accuracy. Now, I realise when I'm going to say this, it's being hypercritical, right? But if we look at
the levels are raising, so I get where you're coming from.
I think it's kind of when you look how close we were to the Champions League, and it's goal difference that we've missed out on. And I'm not saying another replacement. I don't know what the answer is to replacing Watkins. I'm just saying when your current striker now, Watkins knows the club now. He knows what's expected. So you would expect a short increase on each league, and in his head, his target should be that, and it could well be that hangover from the summer last year that's played a key part in him not getting a full pre-season. But 47% shooting accuracy for a striker for me is not good enough. I think it has to be 50% plus. Now, flip that in the 23-24 season, I think he was on 58%, something like that, right? And so that. He had a fantastic season, 30-yard goal involvements, and this season he hasn't produced the assists. So it's kind of the goal misses just seem more prevalent, and they've been more, I guess, just gaping. Like I've still got the Arsenal misses like burning to my retinas. I can't get it out of my eyes. Do you know what I mean? I close my eyes at night, and there he is. Roger's squaring the ball and he's putting it wide. I'm like, oh my God, how can he do it? And that's my initial passion reaction. But overall, and I think in the last 3 seasons, he's missed 92 big chances. And I just think, God, even if you take half of those, like just half, because you can't expect a striker to convert all his strikers. Then, arguably, we are winning an FA Cup and we are in the Champions League again. These are fine margins. And I think the biggest concern for me that his overall conversion rate, apparently over the last 3 seasons, is 22.4%. Like as you just said, we know he's not a clinical finisher, but why isn't someone at the club working with him on that? Like, do you know what I mean?
Do you know my theory is? I just think I think Michael Owen, who's generally a rubbish pundit, but on this particular element, I've listened to him like, actually, he talks about how certain players, and Lineker, I think, said something similar. They slow their body down when they know you're in on the keeper, you pass the last defender, and they slow their heart rate down. They go, right, compose yourself, make the keeper blink first, blah blah, all that. I know what I'm going to do. Bang. And he clearly doesn't have that. He gives, oh shit, I'm 1-on-1 sort of thing. He's that kind of thing. Like I would have used that defense.
He reminds me of Gabby. He reminds me of Gabby.
He's just slightly better than Gabby.
I think he's clearly being coached in better movement and staying between the posts and all that sort of stuff. I just don't think even Unai Emery can make him slow down his body when he knows he's got time. Whenever he's got time for a chance, we all expect him to miss, let's face it. He scores the hard ones where it's instinct and he swings a leg at it and stuff. And when he's got time, he just doesn't have composure, unfortunately.
And my last point is this, is that in the big games when it matters, he hasn't turned up. Right? And
the counter argument to what I've said, and you touch upon that, is if you look at the Champions League record last year,
1 goal.
Yeah.
1 goal in the Champions League.
You can say that about quite a lot of big strikers. Like Harry Kane never showed up for Spurs in the big games, ever.
True.
But it may be, but at the same time, he was still first choice. If you look at what Emery did with Rashford, he knew that Rashford's a technically better baller, and so he was preferred over Watkins in both games, and that kind of done Watkins' confidence any good.
No, I still think with hindsight, despite the 20 minutes Rashford had against PSG where he's electric, he was brilliant. I still think that decision was a bad thing for the rest of the season in terms of what happened afterwards. I do think the repercussions from that were quite like Barros.
I never thought anyone would.
No, but this is the thing. We like lionize like Carew and all that sort of stuff, and I get it. And loads, but some of these strikers we idolise couldn't hold a candle to his record. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like consistency, only Benteke and York can kind of be in his company. And
there aren't many,
lifetime, really. He's not as good as either of those, but you see my point.
Skipper makes a good point here. I don't know if he's joined late because I don't know if he heard Chris's points on actually want to keep Watkins, and one of his big things was actually about the market and who to replace him with currently. I think that's that is obviously a consideration. But I think if we look at it solely on Watkins, not about the replacement, obviously we would have to source a replacement and try and find someone. But I think Watkins, Gary, you had your last point, didn't you? That you didn't go into.
So I think his age as well. Like he's 30 years old now, and I think
he's 29 currently. I think he's turning 30.
Well, he's about to turn 30. He'll be 30 for next season, won't he? And I think if you keep him around for another year, probably fine. But I think you're running a risk of then trying to get money for him because I think the whole point of it is that we are, as you touched upon, Chris, is that we're trying to see those improvements to push the levels. And as he hit a ceiling, that's my only question. Has he hit a ceiling? Because we've had 4 seasons of fairly consistent numbers, but they haven't improved enough for me to like. And if we look at what we said about Bailey, you had a wicked season. Then this year, absolute terrible. And while Watkins hasn't had a terrible season, he also hasn't improved on it. And I know that he's had that. And if you can use the Euro hangover, but quality players of the highest level, elite players, which is what we need to aim for, do it regardless of how much they play.
That's fair. So then on the flip of that, do you think he's had too much pressure because the goal involvements of everyone else, apart from Rodgers, one has been backing, and Tielemans with assists, but got purely on goals and maybe Marlon minutes the game.
No one scored more than 3.
No one has.
Yeah,
no one scored
almost like if he misses, it's like I don't know, maybe psychologically I don't know.
Well, it brings on to another debate because last season we had, I think, 5 players with 10 goal involvements, and we lost Diaby, we lost Douglas Luiz, and suddenly we have 3, which is Watkins, Rodgers, and I think it was Tielemans this year, but it was McGinn last year. So, but McGinn hasn't, because McGinn's been all over the place. He hasn't contributed with goals. Yeah. So we've missed almost 30 goals this year, and it's proven by our goal difference. Do you know what I mean? So you go, I don't know, you know.
I think there's a few things at play. So like we spoke about this numerous times in the pod earlier in the season, and I'm still like, I feel like you've pushed me more towards Watkins maybe not being good enough for what we need moving forward. But I still think that I think earlier in the season, it was it was amplified because we were leaking goals. So we'd leak a goal a game, which meant we had to score 2 to win, which meant that if Watkins missed a chance, it was massive. It was just this huge thing. And I do think he misses. We talk about the big chance thing. I do think he misses like really bad like really bad ones, and it's just and they stay in the memory. Now, the thing that has dried up this season is his assists. So last season, I think he got something like 13 assists, and I think he got something like 3 or something like this, or 6 maybe this season. And so it's not just about him. It's about, like we talked about, it's about those around him.
Well, to be fair, to be fair to him, James, because I did look up this, I thought because in case Chris dropped this stat, I think he got 8 Premier League assists this year.
Oh, did he get 8? Okay.
He got 8.
He
13
got
goals,
less.
8 Premier League assists, 1 Champions League goal, 4 Champions League assists.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, still less than last season. But I think earlier in the season as well, I was actually talking about, and I still kind of believe this, that I actually thought Rodgers was hampering his game a little, because what was happening was Rodgers was picking the ball up in the centre of the midfield. Last season, you'd have Tielemans or Diaby running past, who would spread the defence and would allow Watkins in. Now, Rodgers runs forward, looks up, plays the pass, and Watkins is offside or marked. So it's a little bit late. And so Rodgers has looked great, but I think it's hampered Watkins a little bit, and him like getting those chances because he has been missing chances. And then the other thing that's the difficult thing with Watkins is he seems to struggle with any kind of competition. And that really frustrates me because I'm like, how are we going to get anyone into like rotate?
You'd love to get another Duran without the baggage.
Yeah.
Get him ready for the year after, but
we've got Redmond coming in. Redmond's going to put pressure on him. He's not just going to sit on the bench. Like he's going to get minutes. And the problem with Watkins is that he's such a confidence player. He's so streaky that once he gets 1 or 2, he gets going. But it didn't really happen this season. He never quite kicked on. He had the Duran thing. Then Rashford came in, took his place. So Watkins was very much out of the team. Now, the question is whether actually Emery is in favour of him as his starting striker, because it doesn't seem like it.
Well, the thing is, when you say about the pressure of having competition, like I guess this is where his age comes into it. If you think about it, now he's a family man, he's got kids, right? His focus is probably one eye on them, right, as it probably rightly should be. So you lose a little bit of that hunger. So actually what should happen is when you've got competition for places, it's just like when Dina had the competition from Mourinho and what that. Well, I need to step my game up. I need to be better because this is what my focus is. And I just think maybe he's lost a little bit of focus because Emery's given him that faith. He's made him his number one choice, like over Duran, over anybody that's been in that front line, really, Diab, anyone that's like Danny Ings, like they've been gone, and so. And he hasn't really repaid that faith, really. So Emery would probably be with his rights to go, okay, if I can get somebody, but that's the $1 million question, isn't it? There isn't I can't think of anybody in world football that we could actually afford that we could replace him with. So this isn't a Watkins bashing thing. It never has been for me. It's about, okay, if we are going to keep him, mate, I need to see you like up your game. I need to these conversions that 22% needs to go up to 30%. I'm not saying you're gonna have to be a perfect striker and score every chance, because that's not the case, but great players do that if you like, and that's what we need. We need diamonds in the rough to suddenly turn into world beaters, because that's the only way we're going to do it. And teams have done it, like Leicester do it when they won the league. I know these are rare occasions, but if you can build on that and get the owners have been constantly on about this, about playing Champions League football consistently, then that's what we need. That's the bottom line. So I hope he does it. Like, if we keep him, I hope he steps up to the plate and next season has the season of his life. But it's got to be consistent.
I think if we'd got Champions League, I think Watkins' place would be under a lot more pressure. I think we'd be looking potentially at bringing in a big striker and an understudy. I think that'd probably be the case. But with the way our finances are at the moment with Europa League, I think I'm inclined to say, let's go back to the screen share. I'm inclined to say I would keep him, but if he's not performing by the winter window, and if someone comes in for him, he goes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the fact of the matter, we don't know how true that bid was in January when it came out of the blue that Arsenal wanted him, and then on the overlap, Jamie Carragher saying that we offered him.
Instigated it, yeah.
So if there's any truth to that, like, then does he want to stay? Do you know what I mean? That's the other question. We're
maybe he wants. Maybe he's like, I need to be playing Champions League. I should be. Yeah. I'm hitting the numbers. I've hit that milestone now. I'm Villa's top goal scorer. He wants to stay in the Premier League though, because he wants to.
If you remember, like, Mings had this problem when Mings got called up for England. He went off the boil and he started making mistakes under Gerrard and whatnot. And Emery's kind of grounded him a little bit. And until he got injured with his horrible knee injury, Mings was outstanding before he got injured. Like he just was. And so, and you've seen like the likes of Rodgers. He's brought Rodgers in from Middlesbrough, who when we signed him, I was like, who is this guy? Like, and all of a sudden this year he's been outstanding. Like, he's playing for England. So, like, Emery's got the coachability. Now it's down to the player. And I just feel sometimes Watkins' body language, even at the end of last season when we got Champions League, his body language was all off in the end of the season awards. Don't you remember? It was all in the press. Everyone was like going mad because we made Champions League. He sat there expressionless, kind of not really celebrating with the rest of the players.
Yeah.
He goes to the Euros. He has a great Euros, really. Scores that wonder goal against Holland. I just don't know how committed he is to the club and how much he wants it, because, again, it's reflective of performances and stats. And I know that stats aren't always the true characteristics of what you see, but obviously we go down week in, week out, and my frustration comes from the week in, week out missed chances.
Yeah.
The week in, week out, like, non-assists where he's had opportunities to play people in, and you just go, God, this is becoming exhausting. I want to be a fan of his and I want to support him, but first and foremost, it's the club that I love. The players are there to facilitate that, to get it to where it should be, which is one of the biggest in Europe. And maybe I'm being a bit utopian, but I'm still dreaming of that, seeing some success, because it's been 30 odd years since I've seen us win a trophy, and I ain't getting any younger.
So the question is, sell or keep?
I'm going to go
keep only to the market, but if we got 60 million bid tomorrow, I think you have to consider it. On the flip side of that,
I think the other one last thing, because we're running out of time, but like with Watkins, it's also like I was saying. I've said this a few times on the pod that I do feel like he's always been a very humble bloke, right? He's always been very quite like. I think oh my God, Dean Smith said he was always quite a shy guy. Like he needed to nurture him and stuff. And then the past couple of years, he's actually got like a bit more confidence and he's been backing himself. But I actually feel like this season he's got a little bit arrogant. There's a little bit of an edge to the whole thing of like, yeah, well, I was pissed off that I didn't play against PSG. I got my goal. You know, it's kind of, and I'm just like, there's been a little bit of just this kind of slight arrogance that's come in, which
I think that's
which I think is different to a bit of like selfishness or confidence. I think that's a different thing.
That comment annoyed me when he went on Sky Sports and said, I'm annoyed that I didn't start, because he then had 3 or 4 games where he was terrible. And I'm like, well, that's why you didn't start. Like, you can't go out on national TV and go, I should be starting, I should be the main man, and then be dreadful. That's not the way it works, is it? Like, you look like an idiot. So I want to see the best out of him. So if we do keep him, then I really hope he proves me wrong. But I agree with you, Chris. I think, you keep him because there isn't. I can't think of anybody to replace him with. But if Arsenal came in with a 50-60 million bid for him tomorrow, I'd be like, thanks, Ollie, all the best. And we try and work something out by playing Rodgers up front or something. I don't know. Or Marlon, give that man a few minutes.
I'll tell you what, that Doner Kebab needs to get on the pitch. Well, let's just quickly. He's staying. I ain't having any of you tell me otherwise.
Looking forward to seeing him next year.
Yeah.
This guy's staying, right?
Yeah, he ain't going anywhere.
By the way, his contract is 2030.
Yeah, mate. There's no way he's letting him go. He's his main man. Like, he's played every minute of every game, more or less. Do you know what I mean? Like,
are we signing this guy? No.
No way for me.
No, Rashford. He's going back. Can't afford him.
This keeps on coming and going. Like, Gary's got a little bit of a balls deep love interest in this guy.
I'm a little bit in love. I know he's been inconsistent, right? But this guy's a baller.
Mate, if we can get him for 15 million and his wages aren't insane, I'd also consider just another like a full season loan extension, like another loan.
Yeah. Well, mate, just for my pure man crush, I want to keep him. I do. Just so I can stare at him for another season.
If we got Champions League, I think we would have bought him, but I think we'll try to get a loan. I think if we have
go with a loan, My only concern with him is I feel like you end up shunting Rodgers out.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I agree with that.
And I think he's a bit of a passenger without the ball, which is his fault. He's just not that athletic, which is why PSG got rid of him. His technique's up there. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's weird for me because actually when he first came and he played with Rodgers and Rashford, and I think Rodgers played more of a central role, right, almost. It worked really well, and they linked up really well. But the moment he started playing Rodgers out on the right and playing Asensio in the middle, that does not work. It doesn't. They cancel each other out. It makes us void of any kind of depth or width, and I just don't want to ever see that again. But I think there is a formation that works where you can encapsulate them both, and maybe if we don't have Rashford, that's kind of a way of doing it, because you could almost say to Ollie, as a front three, like being fluid, Ollie, you can drop out to the left and then Morgan can drop into the centre and Asensio can come out wide, or vice versa. So you're always going to have that mix. Maybe that would work, I don't know. But again, Emery knows way more than I do.
We've got all the youngsters here, but I'm only going to focus on some of those that are maybe a little bit more likely to potentially be in the squad or something like that. Not Ben Broggio.
Can I pass your word off, please? Yeah, I think you've got to loan him or sell him, because I don't even know. He was bought for PSR reasons for me. I think the whole point was to get him in to get rid of players, to have potential squad players, and I never really rated him anyway.
Apparently he was doing okay before the injury, wasn't he, in his last loan, which is really annoying, because if he carried on doing okay, you might have got some value.
What about Louis Barry?
I think you got to. I think he's going to want to leave. I think we've loaned him out twice. I think there's a player in there, and what I've seen of him looks like an absolute finisher.
He's an absolute natural finisher, isn't
he? Yeah, he is.
This is the thing where I'm going, like, you're talking about the Watkins thing. It's
I know.
If we could get his finishing.
Liverpool. Oh my God.
Mate, how early did he take it? It was like you couldn't believe it. I would love to see this guy given a shot, just like I wanted Cameron Archer to have a shot. But both good finishers.
I think he might be low. I think he might be loaned one more time. I think the key thing is if we can get him loaned to a promoted Premier League club, I think that's That's
well, mate, there's
that's
talking of going to Blues. The last thing we wanted was in loan at Blues and getting them promoted. Jesus Christ. But
go to Wrexham. I'm so excited about Wrexham next season, by the way. Are we saying sell or loan? I
don't want to sell him, but I'd say loan loan. Because I think he'll get the minutes, will he? If he's I hope I'm wrong. I'd love him to get the minutes coming off the bench, but
I don't think any of these.
No, these are not important people, mate. I've never heard of these. Not yet. Mate, like,
can we just all talk about Thierry Katsukunya though?
Mate, you could have put pictures of us in them, and people wouldn't have known. Like,
can someone please tell me? Can someone please tell us in the comments if anyone has heard of Thierry Katsukunya?
Of the 34-year-old, 19-year-old, but he looks 34. Thierry Katsukunya. Is it Luke Littler of Villa? Luke Littler of Villa.
In the comments, quickly, can you tell me his nationality?
It was so long ago. You have mentioned this at the start of the show, so.
Right. I'm just going to see if anyone in the comments says.
If anyone's even paying attention, that is. Come on, where's he from?
54 people, mate. There's 54 people here.
I know, that's crazy, mate. I don't even know 54 people.
Well, he's just for everyone. He's Welsh, which you would never think. Anyway, I think that's it, really. So the big ones are keeping Ollie, letting Luca Dean go, which is a big call, that, by the way, and Matty Cash. We're basically losing all our wing backs.
Oh, mate, that's just an opinion.
It's just while you're not in charge of our club, innit? It's absolutely fine.
Don't Monchi's going to look into us, is he?
Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for joining us here live. And Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Sorry, it's been slightly longer than we initially anticipated.
It would be.
But yeah, that was a really good debate, and finally had it, which we've been waiting for this to happen for a few months.
Yeah, it's very civil, Chris. I'm pleased about that, because obviously in the games it's very passionate and kind of.
Even in the game, I didn't even feel like it was an argument. It wasn't even an argument. It was a
debate.
Genuinely a discussion. It was like,
yeah. I think Chris was basically just getting fed up because he basically sits in front of Gaz, and all Gaz does is just go, "Fuck, Watkins! What the fucking hell, Watkins?" And even if he just is nowhere near the ball, he's like, "Why aren't you there?"
That's my 4-year-old idolises him. Idolise him. Every time I get back from the Villa, did they win? Did Ollie Watkins score? Even if he hasn't played, I'm not going to play. And then the other one he likes from the name only is Robin Olsen's. I'm going to have to tell him he's gone.
Oh God, sorry, he's gone, mate.
Well, like I say, my wife's his number one fan, but I think she's probably more of the physical attributes that he brings to the table than his football attributes. So we'll keep him for that reason.
God. One of the guys has just said, so where's the end list /summary? Here you go. If you just want to see it, anything with green is we're keeping, yellow is we're loaning, red we're getting rid of. So I'm going to scroll very slowly for these last 30 seconds. So if anyone wants to debate anything about this, you can at some point. But Jacob Ramsey's probably quite a big dubious one. Again, we've said we don't really want to sell him, but if a big came in, we probably would, because he's too injury prone. And also Rashford, no, we're not going to pay his wages. No chance in hell. Leon Bailey, piss off. And then you got Matty Cash. Matty Cash again, a little bit too injury prone. And if we get a decent price for him, we're okay with him. Luca Dean needs to go because of his wages, and also he's only got 1 year left of his contract, and we don't want him to go for a free. And Martinez, don't go anywhere, please. Thank you.
Please stay. Please stay.
Please stay. Brilliant. All right. Well, cheers, everyone. As always, thanks. Give us a subscribe, a like, and if you're watching this not live, pop some stuff down in the comments. Do you agree? Disagree? We'll be back on Monday for another kind of transfer roundup, and then. Is it next week or the week after, guys, that we've got our next guest coming on? I think it's the week after next.
It's the week after, 19th. We've got Amy AVFC from TikTok who's coming on to debate all things Villa. And maybe we should do a little summary sheet of all the team we're going to keep.
Yeah, I'll pop a post up or something. Yeah, I'll pop a post. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Chris, for your time.
Chris, mate, thanks for coming on. Top stuff.
Gary,
one last thing to do. Every week we follow the boys in Claret and Blue. Peace and love.
See ya.